All right, I am going to get started. Well, welcome everybody to Nutrition at Noon. My name is Tu Win. I am one of 10 nutritionists here with Giant. And today we're going to be talking about easy kitchen substitutions. But before we begin, a couple things. This is going to be a 15-minute program. It's going to be about 10 minutes of me giving some tips and strategies. And the last 5 minutes is going to be a live Q&A. So if you have any questions about this topic at all, feel free to click that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. I do want to warn you guys, I have a lot of great information for you today, so I might be talking a little bit more than 10 minutes. So if I don't get to your questions, please send us an email at nutrition@giantfood.com so we can get them answered. A couple other things for all those who are new to webinars. Everything is anonymous, so if you have any background noise going on, don't worry, your microphones are muted, your cameras are also turned off, and any questions that you ask me will also be anonymous. So let's get started. So there are a couple reasons why we are looking to make kitchen ingredient substitutions, right? And the most common one is that most likely you've run out of an ingredient or you don't have an ingredient. And with times right now, you might not feel comfortable leaving your house unless it's truly necessary. But one of the most disappointing things is when you get super excited to make your cookies and you look in your refrigerator and you've run out of eggs. So the solution to this would be making that kitchen substitution. Another reason might be that you're looking to make some healthy changes in your diet. And making simple swaps in traditional dishes is a favorite tip among us nutritionists on how to make sustainable changes in your lifestyle. And then last but not least, maybe you're just itching to try something new. Maybe you're wondering what the deal is with these new trendy alternative flours, or maybe you're wondering what the heck a flax egg is. Well, we're going to be talking about all that today. But before we get started, I've come up with a list of suggested pantry items. Not only are these items great on their own, but when I was doing my research, a lot of swaps include these ingredients. And I also do want to note that if you are making substitutions in your recipe, most likely your final product is going to be a little bit different than what you anticipate it to be. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we are making substitutions, it's going to be a little bit different. So just keep that in mind. So some things that you want to keep in your pantry is applesauce. Having a bag of chia seeds or flax seeds is always a great idea. And then having those baking essentials like baking soda, cream of tartar, and vinegar. All right, so one more thing before we get into those kitchen swaps. We kind of need to know the science behind these ingredients. So we know that our ingredients play a role in our recipes. Each ingredient does something for the final product. So we can't just switch out something because we feel like it or omit something because we feel like it. We have to know why it works the way it does. So with flour, we know that it gives your product structure. So the more gluten something has, the tougher the final product is going to be. So this means if you are making cake, you might not want to use bread flour because your cake might be a little bit tougher than it's supposed to be. Same thing goes with fat, and that could be oil or butter. If you're looking for ways to cut out fat, you don't want to omit it completely from your recipe, but instead you can make healthier swaps like we're going to talk about in a second. We know that fat holds our product together. Sugar gives some sweetness, it tenderizes, and it also adds some moisture. Eggs and liquids give our recipe some texture. It acts as a leavening agent, and eggs act to bind our ingredients together. And then last but not least, we have baking soda and powder, which are both leavening agents, but they're not interchangeable. So if you're out of one, you can't replace it with the other completely. And that's what we're going to talk about in a second. So if you can't remember all this, no worries. Your greatest resource is to look in your baking cookbooks. The front of them usually has a list of substitutions if you've run out of ingredients. So be sure to always reference that. You can, of course, look on Google as well, or you can take a screenshot of this next slide. So I pulled this slide together. It's some of the most common ingredients that we run out of. We tend to always have it in our house until we need it, right? So the first thing are eggs. So if you don't have eggs, you could do a 1/4 cup mashed banana or a 1/4 cup applesauce. And this is going to add a little bit of sweetness to your recipe, but it's a great way to get that fruit onto your plate. Next, you can use a flax egg, or you can use a chia seed egg as well. And we want to be sure that it's ground flax seed because our bodies can't digest them if they're whole. So make sure your seeds are ground up. And what you do is you just do a tablespoon of that flax seed with 3 tablespoons of water. Let it sit for about 5 minutes. And then you get a consistency of an egg. So here I have a flax egg, and it has kind of a consistency of an egg, as you can see. And the great thing about this is that it's allergy friendly. So if you have somebody in your household who's allergic to eggs, you can use a flax egg and they'll still be able to enjoy the product. Same thing goes for egg whites. If you run out of eggs, you've run out of egg whites. A great substitution is aquafaba. And you might not know the word, but you definitely know the product. And it's that liquid that's in your canned chickpeas. So when you're draining chickpeas, save that aquafaba and you can use it in substitution for egg whites. And again, it's allergy friendly, so it's great. Next up is buttermilk. And I don't know about you guys, but I never have buttermilk in my house. I can't use the entire thing. So you can make your own buttermilk, and you can do this by doing a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar with a cup of milk. And you just let it sit there for about 10 minutes, and then you have buttermilk. The great thing about making buttermilk is that you can choose the type of milk that you want to use. So you can do low fat or non-fat, and then that way you can make some of those healthier swaps. And then last but not least, we have baking powder. And like I said, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio with baking soda. So if you want to do a teaspoon of baking powder, you could do a 1/4 teaspoon baking soda with 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. All right, so let's dive in a little bit deeper into those health benefits. Because like I said, making little swaps in your diet can really make a difference. So instead of using low-fat cream cheese, instead of using regular cream cheese, you can use low-fat cream cheese. And that way you're cutting 16 grams of fat per cup. Making these swaps can lessen the calories, they can lessen the saturated fat, they can give more fiber, more protein, which we know is great for diabetes and heart health and weight management and just nutrition in general. So here are some ways that you guys can make some nutritious swaps to your recipes. Instead of using sour cream, you can use plain Greek yogurt. Not only is this going to save you the calories and the saturated fat and the sodium, but it's also going to give you a huge boost in that protein. Rather than using butter, you can use mashed avocados or olive oil. Again, this is going to save you on those calories and those saturated fats that aren't that great for our heart. And then I threw in breadcrumbs because breadcrumbs are something that I don't have in my house, but I always have whole grain crackers. And if you use whole grain crackers instead, you can double the fiber. All right, so maybe you haven't run out of ingredients in your house. Maybe you are making these healthier swaps, but you just want to try something new. So this is a different perspective on kitchen substitutions. It's more food rather than ingredients. So rather, if you don't want meat, you can always try plant-based meats. So Beyond Meat has great products out there that taste delicious. So if you're interested, give them a try. Instead of our regular pasta, we can do bean and lentil-based pastas. These are going to give you more protein and more fiber. My favorite is Barilla red lentil penne. It tastes exactly like pasta, so I love it. For our rice, we can do cauliflower rice. It's going to get us more vegetables onto our plate, and you can make it taste better by cooking it with some low-sodium chicken broth. And then last but not least, flour. We know that flour is a hot commodity right now. So maybe you're out of flour, maybe you want to save your flour. You can always try oat flour. And you can just make oat flour by grinding up your oats, and then you're gonna also get more fiber that way. And then this is try something new for the brave. So maybe you've already tried all of those because they've been around for a little bit, but you can try jackfruit instead of meat. So the jackfruit company has these flavored jackfruits that fit all different types of cuisines. So this one right here is barbecue jackfruit. And this one tastes and has the texture exactly that of pulled pork. So if you're interested, give that a try. Another thing that you can try are kohlrabi noodles. And we've all heard of, zucchini noodles, but kohlrabi noodles are also vegetable. They soak up all the flavors of whatever you're cooking, and they are a little bit sweet, so it has a great little bite to it. A great recipe that I've tried it in are peanut sesame sauce kohlrabi noodles. So if you're interested in that recipe, just send us an email. You can also try shirataki rice. So shirataki is coming from the fiber of the konjac plant. So it's high in fiber. It's 97% water, so very low in calories, if that's something that you're looking for. And then you can try those alternative flours like chickpea flour, banana, and quinoa flour. They all had different tastes and textures and different nutritional profiles. So whichever one you're interested in, just choose it, look up some recipes including it, and then give that a try. All right, so I made a recipe swap just as an example to show you guys. Instead of traditional pancakes, I made spinach pancakes. And instead of all-purpose flour, I used oats. So again, that's going to give us more fiber. You can use a banana instead of regular sugar. That's gonna, again, give you fiber and also more potassium. And then adding spices like cinnamon and adding spinach will give you more antioxidants, some iron, calcium, and a whole lot of other great things. And if you're like, I don't know, that doesn't sound really good. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, you can take it from my son, Landon. He's 1 year old, and that's him enjoying his spinach pancakes because they are delicious and they are toddler approved. All right, so before we get to our Q&A, I just wanted to highlight some online resources that we nutritionists have out for you guys. You can schedule individual consultations. If you have any nutrition questions at all, just send us a shout out. You can find our information at giantfood.com/nutrition. We also have our free online webinars as well as our daily weekday nutrition at noon webinars. Our blogs are full of inspiration and educational pieces. So if you want to know more about those alternative flours, we have a blog article just about that. And then last but not least, we have our Nutrition Made Easy podcast, which has so many different topics about health. So you can find whatever works for you. We have an episode that comes out quarterly called Try Something New. So if that's what you're looking for your kitchen swap, then give that a listen. All right, so we have about 1.5 minutes for questions. So let's see what we have here. Okay, when using oatmeal, can you use quick oats for baking? I do all the time, and I feel like my products come out great. Let's see. For your flax egg, does it need to be a whole seed? So for the flax egg, we just want to make sure that our flax seeds are ground up. Our bodies can't digest the flax seed when it's whole, so just make sure that you either buy it ground or you put it in a food processor and grind it up yourself. And then how many substitutions can you make in a recipe before it's no longer the recipe? Okay, great question. So I would probably stick to about 1 or 2 substitutions max, just because, like you said, if you're making too many substitutions, you're going to get a different product. So just keep that in mind. And then I have one last question. I love salt. What can I use to replace salt? Um, so for salt, you can use spices and herbs to give your dishes more flavoring. A great pairing that kind of mimics the taste of salt is garlic, onion, and citrus together. Those three together kind of mimic the taste of salt, so you can do that as well. All right, well, that is all the time that we have today. Thank you guys so much for joining us at Nutrition at Noon. Again, if you have any questions, please send us an email at nutrition@giantfood.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.